now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome today's first speaker, Mary DeBishop, Senior Vice President with Ipsos Customer Experience Practice. Mary, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ellen, and thank you everybody for taking the time to attend our webinar today. We wanted to start by level setting on what exactly do we mean when we talk about measuring and managing the customer experience, especially given today's discussion about intermediaries who may or may not be employees of your firm. Customer experience is defined as a customer's perceptions and associated emotions caused by the individual and cumulative effect of interactions with a company's employees, systems, processes, channels, policies, and products. We make the distinction here between individual interactions, which we often measure in the moment in research, versus the cumulative effect of interactions, which we measure among customers as their total relationship with that brand. The customer experience then is that holistic representation of all of those interactions that customers are experiencing simultaneously with the brand, the product, purchase and service channels, such as through intermediaries, and employees. And that holistic experience has functional, emotional, and social components, all of which matter to different degrees, and ultimately shape how a customer behaves, and in turn impacts your business results. If you want to go to the next slide, great. As recently as 10 years ago, as a very general statement, there was a much clearer distinction between how B2B and B2C relationships were designed and managed by different organizations. However, as human expectations have evolved in our personal lives, so have consumer expectations for incredible sales, service, and product experiences in our professional lives. That expectation convergence, as we call it, has caused B2B relationships to look a lot more like B2C relationships. There are multiple channels of interaction, there's real-time service, there's access to more robust information, they are demanding ease of use, and there are expectations of clear appreciation for their business as B2B customers. And so as a result, the CX methodologies that we use for experience measurement and optimization now really translate better than they ever have before to the B2B or even the B2B2C environment, like what we see with intermediaries. So with all of that being said, when it comes to measurement, we recognize that B2B research is not simply B2C with another audience. There are many important considerations and requirements that are unique to B2B research. For example, and this is just one example, the analytic considerations that we often have to make with B2B work, if we or even our clients have done mostly consumer work, there may be an adjustment required to get used to what are often considered lower sample sizes and therefore different analytic allowances made with that audience than maybe we're used to. And I mentioned that, that analytic consideration because it can relate to this next point. When doing B2B work, we must always keep in mind that one respondent, one customer, one intermediary can often represent millions or even billions of dollars to your firm. So it's even more imperative that they have a great experience as a participant in research, that we consider this as we build samples, interpret insights that come out of the data, and most importantly, how we think about making investments to improve their customer experience. As you all well know, intermediaries are representing your brand, especially if these folks are not employees of your firm. It can often be easy to overlook them in some sense, especially when it comes to evaluating the customer experience among this group of intermediaries. It's important to think of intermediaries as customers too. They're two-way relationships at the end of the day. They may not be the end user of your product or service, but as the face of your brand in many cases, it's important to understand their experience, as we know the quality of the experience that they are having will have a direct impact on how your brand is represented by them to your end customers. So what does it take to maintain successful B2B relationships with intermediaries? I'm going to hand it over to Jeff now to take you through 4 core tenets of success in those relationships. So number 1, focus on ease. Number 2, design products that fit client needs. 3, invest in tools and solutions. And finally, provide ample in-the-moment support. Jeff, over to you.
Thank you, Mary. I'm going to go through these 4 tenets in some depth. This is a synthesis of several research projects we've done over the last few years that we've sifted through to pull together these findings for you. Why is this up? Hang on. Okay. What is the one thing that's going to make a difference with your intermediaries, your partners? Well, really, when we say ease, we're talking about easy to do business. Make it easy for them to work with you. As their partner, do what you can to make the process smooth, straightforward, just easy to work with them. When we looked at this in relation to the Net Promoter Score, NPS, most of our clients track NPS. It's a critical KPI. We think this is nearly equally important. When we looked at this, again, among studies among agents, advisors, brokers, typical intermediaries in the financial services sector, when the agent said it was easy to do business, we tended to see better NPS scores, 49% better when ease of doing business was present. And also in the insurance space, that translated to more premiums being written with the firm. So we saw a 25% higher level of premiums being written when ease of doing business was high, it was present, again, translating to NPS and translating to more business. So we think this is a powerful relationship, and we're sort of putting ease of doing business at the forefront here because everything you do, we believe, should support that in the relationship with an intermediary. And when you think about it, right, we're all running around as ordinary consumers. We're busy in our jobs, in our lives. And for intermediaries, time is money. Some of these are independent business owners running their own firms. Time is precious. So again, can't emphasize enough that this is the most important factor in improving your Net Promoter Score and driving your business. Again, particularly what we saw in the financial space. Talk a little bit about products here. Now, these are not product studies per se, but we talk to agents and brokers and advisors about, what their expectations are around products. Well, very often, they're trying to match their clients' needs with the products offered by the firm, right? They're looking for a match. And they want that match to be easy. So they want to be able to find the right product for their customer and close the sale. They don't want it to go hours and days and be painful. They want to match it up as quickly as possible. So what we found was when we had the condition of the products were meeting the needs of what they were looking for, once again, we saw much better scores in terms of ease of doing business, a 50% lift, if these intermediaries felt they had the right product portfolio that met the needs of their clients. So again, we're talking about consistency of products, reliable products, products that meet a range of different needs that their end clients have. Again, what we've noticed in the data, even qualitative data as well, when we talk to the agents and intermediaries, they're looking for that consistent ability to get to the right product quickly. Again, what does this mean? Well, you've got to have a breadth of products to cover a wide range of needs for different kinds of constituents who are looking for slightly different products, right? Slightly different attitudes, slightly different needs in their lives. Again, the products have to be a match. It can't be a square peg in a round hole. It can't be a Band-Aid. They're looking for products that actually do meet nearly all of the needs that their clients are expressing. So, I've talked to some of these agents and they say, well, I'm trying to match this thing with this person, but it's not quite the right thing, which isn't great. It really is not great. And of course, don't want to underestimate value. There has to be a value proposition for the product. Again, higher priced products need to justify the value for that agent or intermediary to sell that into their end client. So it can't be, well, just because I'm a name brand, there has to be something there that says, hey, look, we're offering you something better, and this is why you're paying perhaps a premium price. Moving on to what we're classifying as tools and solutions. What does that mean exactly? Well, it's sort of a bucket that covers helping me sell, giving me training and knowledge about your products, and give me some support around these solutions. I'm selling solutions to my end clients, right? And again, this can be a combination of digital and traditional channels. Again, more since COVID, right? There's been a lot of reliance on digital applications, which granted was necessary and important. However, these digital applications need to be user-friendly. As I was saying a moment ago, if someone's going into an application and it's a maze, an encyclopedia of products with no easy way of navigating, that's going to be frustrating. Similar if you're looking to build quotations, that process needs to be easy. So we heard repetitively when it came to tools and applications, it wasn't that agents were resistant to technology or advisors that, oh, I don't want to do that, I want to do it the old way. It was more about, I want it to be easy, I want to understand it quickly, get to what I need, because again, they're trying to complete a sale, right? So they want the tools and solutions that are going to enable them. So again, when we saw positive feedback on tools and solutions, again, we saw higher scores and ease of doing business, and once again, higher NPS, a really 100-point difference in the NPS scores. When this chain was established for good tools and solutions, ease of doing business, you saw a much improved NPS score. So again, this is a bucket of things. Help me with leads, help me with training and sales, help me understand your products, and help me close the deal. So just to recap this, easy access, superior navigation if it's a digital application. I heard time and time again about apps that were clunky, slow, clumsy, hard to find things. It's got to be easy and clear. Again, it's got to work across multiple interfaces, smartphones, PCs, whatever way the agent chooses to access it. And it needs to be an enabler in the sense of they're going to get from basically identifying the lead, talking to the customer, to closing the sale relatively quickly. That's what we mean by enablement. Not an obstacle, but an enabler to closing the sale. Again, I actually talked to agents where they said, geez, this is a problem. It's not working well. It's hurting me because it's so hard and I can't close the deal quickly enough. So again, these things have to be present for a successful outcome. In the moment support, what do we mean by that? So this is a little bit, when we're saying in the moment, we mean sort of when they need it, when and where they need that support. It's a little bit different from tools. Support really matters. And when we looked at things that fell in the customer support bucket, we looked at advocates, in the NPS, the top of that scale, we said they're advocates or promoters. Well, they're 80% more likely to allocate a bigger share of business to firms they prefer, which means these firms deliver access to consultants, specialists, experts that they need in the moment when they're trying to close a deal, to sell something to a end client. And we looked at this and we said, okay, let's separate this out. Let's look at the customer support scores. Let's separate the higher scores from the lower scores. So on the left of this chart, you see less than 60% was sort of the break in customer support scores. What were the problems that were expressed by these agents, advisors, brokers? They talked about waiting a long time to get support and answers that were hard to find. And this cuts across digital, telephone, PC, it cuts across multiple channels that were evaluated. These were the two top things that were dissatisfiers. You're making me wait and it's too hard for me to find what I need. On the flip side of this, on the right side, in the green column of items, well, in cases where it was above 60% for customer support, what denoted that? Better wait times, minimal wait times, very quick answers, and accuracy. The answers were right the first time, not that it was off or uncertain or they had to come back at a later time. They got the answers quickly and they were correct answers. And again, when we separated this, when we look at this, again, you're going to see better net promoter scores, more share of business given to the firm by this particular agent or advisor. So again, this is like the last piece of the puzzle. You could see how these things fit together. Get me the products, give me the applications to enable me, and when I need the support, have the support ready and waiting, and being fast and accurate. We took another glimpse at this. Let me explain what this chart is. In this chart, we call this an impact by performance matrix. So the vertical axis talks about the impact of a particular thing, performance area. And the bottom, this is a performance gap, like where are there gaps? Now this is another agent study, and we bucketed different attributes of service. So discovery being like when you're helping your client find out about products and services. Client renewal and customer renewal management, help me with managing my clients, and then help me with marketing, and help me enroll a new customer, and help me with service to that customer. So in this chart, what did we find out basically? The intermediaries really put importance upon customer, enrollment, and servicing. Those are the most important things to them next to discovery, but here's the enrollment and servicing bubble. Moderately high impact, okay, and very important. It's the thing that really came out in our data, most important to these agents. And again, if you think about it, well, I've got to enroll the customer, I've got to seal the deal, they've got to get signed up, and there's always service that happens at the front end of that deal. So this came back to us in the data as one of the most important things, and one of the things that agents and advisors felt was under-delivered. So the gap versus expectations is really quite big in this particular, these two areas, enrollment of the new customer and servicing that customer. So putting a capstone on this, this ongoing support is going to be important. And as you can see from the storyline here, at the beginning of getting that sale in the can, as they say, getting that customer signed up, getting them in is really, really important. And so they want access to what they need at that point, real time. If it's a business consultant, if it's a specialist, if it's some sort of expert, they want access to that person pretty quickly, right away. I say in the moment, but minimal to no wait time is a message. They don't want to be waiting hours, and they certainly don't want to be waiting days. And as I said a moment ago, for them, again, at the front end of a sale, there's that service and enrollment process up front, because that's where you're starting off a life cycle with a customer, right? If they're coming into your organization as a customer, that's the first thing they say. How hard was it to sign up? What was the responsiveness like? Was I getting good service to make this process easier for me and not painful? And that's what we've heard from these agents. We think these issues pretty hang together pretty well in terms of supporting the messaging around make it easy to do business. We want better advocacy, higher net promoter scores. So we think this is a message that's powerful, and we wanted to share it with you today. Well, you might ask us, well, what's next? What's Ipsos going to do about this? Well, Mary and I are part of a customer experience practice. We've been doing, B2B research for many years, actually. This is one of those times where we said, well, let's really look at this and zone in on it and see what are the major themes we're seeing in recent years. Again, where can we help you? Where can we help clients? And particularly when it's a B2B intermediary situation, we think one of the biggest things to do to help you is to understand where to focus your investments, focus your efforts, where do you put the resources? Because every client we work with, they're looking for a return on their investment, right? So we always say, we're going to help you understand what are the needs, what do your intermediaries tell us they need, What do they expect from you? And there's going to be some variation by firm and category. We think what we're showing you today applies pretty broadly, particularly in the financial services space. But again, there's going to be nuances by category. If I were doing a study with purchasing agents and the medical field, it would be a bit different, right? So you've got to understand what the needs are. We like to identify very specific actions. What are the specific things you can do to improve the relationship, and which of these will lead to more share of their business that they're going to come to you before going to someone else. And again, how do you map this out over time? Set your goals, map out the growth path. What things are you going to do first, second, and third? We help prioritize and help our clients with, establishing the path to longer term growth and by improving the agent relationship the way we're talking about. And, we are one of the largest CX insights organizations in the world. We're proud of that. This is just a sampling of the different clients we work with. And on the lower part of this chart, the kinds of things we do from strategy development all the way through data and analytics. We do a wide range of things in the CX space, really end to end. We help our clients with all these different kinds of issues. Okay.
All right.
Mary, Ellen, do we have any questions?
Let me look here, Jeff. We do have a couple of questions, actually. I'm going to have you take this first one, Jeff. What made you choose to do a webinar on this topic specifically? Which is a really good question.
Yeah, I dreamt about it. We've been doing a lot of B2B work over the years, and we said this is an opportunity to sort of thread things together. And to be honest, things that happened during COVID kind of motivated us to look at this more closely. During COVID, a lot of business interactions for the end consumer shifted to digital interactions, right? Because the face-to-face portion of the experience wasn't possible, right? So tools were pushed out there fast and furiously. Maybe some of them weren't working so well. And we thought about this, well, certainly the end consumer is important, right? There were health issues, there were real concerns. So understandably, the focus was on the end party, right? But we said, well, what about these guys in the middle, these intermediaries? Again, some are small business owners, right? They're trying to survive. They're trying to keep their business running. And they're, that meat in the sandwich. They've got the end customer they want to sell to, right? The prospect there. And then they're working with a firm to get products and service. And so they really are, pressured, right? So a lot of pressure is on them. So we said, well, what do they think about what's been happening? What do they think about these things? What do they need? And so we looked at this, to get that perspective, again, really during and a little bit after the COVID period to really get their input. We think, hey, look, they're customers too. A lot of things have changed, but if you enable them and help them succeed, I think, ultimately you're going to have a better outcome.
Jeff, this is actually almost sort of a question from me. Some of the results that we came up with or that we found sort of indicate that some of the things that these intermediaries are differentiating on are very table stakes, right? The things that are differentiating those that are successful seem kind of basic. What do you think about that? What does that indicate to you?
Table stakes are important, and you can't.
Yeah, they are. Maybe fortunately or unfortunately, they are still differentiating, right? I think there's a lot of firms out there that just aren't doing the basics right, and so it's an opportunity for other firms to really step in and take an advantage.
I heard a lot from agents. I had two large clients in the B2B space where, they had launched really big, impressive digital applications during the COVID period, but they didn't really do their homework. They didn't get the feedback they needed to get. They just thought, technologically speaking, these were great tools. They thrust them upon the intermediaries, and lo and behold, they had lots and lots of complaints. I had two separate cases where I saw this, and, again, it may look wonderful technologically speaking, but sometimes you don't anticipate how your intermediaries will engage with the platform what they're expecting from it. They may do things you don't anticipate or be looking for things you didn't anticipate. So again, technology is great. We're all for it, but you've got to make sure it's working for the people who are on that receiving end. In this case, your intermediaries, because again, it's an enabler. It's supposed to help them, again, close deals with their end clients.
Yeah. Looks like I have one more question here. You focus primarily on financial services. Okay, yeah, Jeff, you talked about this a little bit. Do you feel this advice would apply to agents in other sectors? I'll take this one. The short answer is yes, although financial services was the basis of our research examples, we absolutely believe that these learnings here can be extended to really any firm or sector that relies on sales intermediaries or agents. There are some absolute universal truths here. For example, this idea of making it easy to do business is really ubiquitous in all the work that we're doing, both at the B2B and the B2C level. It is really it's applicable and relevant across the board. It's something that end consumers are really, frankly, more desiring more now than ever before, and partly due to the pandemic, and it's certainly true for intermediaries in every sector.
I think it's fair to say the patience has been short, so to speak. People have a lot of anxiety. Their expectations have risen. Mm-hmm. And if they're forced to use digital applications, they want them to work quickly and well. Mm-hmm. So in some ways, the bar has been raised due to everything we've been through in the pandemic.
True. Okay, it looks like that's it on the questions for now. On behalf of Jeff, thank you all for attending the webinar. Please look out for the recording that will be coming to you shortly. And if we did miss any questions, or if you do have questions, please reach out to us directly and we will respond to you personally. So thank you.
Thank you.